Peace everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the things related to the exposés that have been happening recently with some very well-known speakers in the Muslim community and outside of the Muslim community, in every community, honestly. And there's been a lot of things which have been brought to light in the last year, in the last few years, and I really hope that some of the insights that I share with you today will help you to understand the situation a little bit better in how we deal with the situation.
From beautiful seas to flourishing legacies.
So as I said, there's been a recent trend of people being exposed for some of the things that they have been doing to their communities and to the people they have been put in charge of behind the scenes. And there's been a lot of shocking revelations. For example, there was one with a yoga teacher in Hollywood. She really helped apparently some very big names inside of the industry, and she was very well known amongst the community. And then she was exposed for the way she would behave with the people that she was supposed to be employing. She would talk down to them, she would scream at them, she would say the most awful things. And she's a teacher who tries to teach people mindfulness and yoga, and it completely went against her character, and people were so shocked when they heard about her. Another example is a lady who was well known for teaching people how to lose weight, and she basically used these teachings in order to help them to become better Christians. And she made a church, and then she founded her own doctrine upon the church, and it was really on the basis of greed, and something that greed was not supposed to happen. And anyway, this lady was also exposed, and then there was another lady. Anyway, I can go on. And no, it is not just ladies, it is also males as well. They have also been exposed for some shocking things, and specifically in the Muslim community. And I just want to preface as well that I'm not going to be dropping any names in this video. I don't want to make this space about that. My purpose for making this video is in how we can deal with this situation as the people who are learning from these influencers. And I know that I was one of these people who was learning from these influencers. At least there was an influencer in my life who really influenced it and was a big part of it. And then I went through some very difficult feelings in trying to reconciliate how the behaviors of this person did not match the things that they were preaching and the things that they were saying. And it can honestly be heartbreaking, and I really felt called to making a video about this. Now I want to preface before I begin that we are human, and whether you are someone who is well known by millions of people or thousands of people, you are still human, right? We are still human, and we make mistakes and we make choices that will always be questionable to some people. There will always be judgment. When you are in the eye, there is always judgment. Specifically, the kind of people that I'm talking about is people who are blatantly being exposed for things that they preached and completely went against behind the scenes. Things like secret marriages, for example, things like changing core doctrines in the religion. And again, this is not just people who are Muslim. This is people who are human, and they have an influence on their followers. So this is from a perspective of people who have helped you specifically to grow, and you might have heard them. And there's even examples of makeup influencers as well, right? They've been exposed for certain things and certain scams that they've been running, and it's been heartbreaking to their followers. And it's not limited to just one religion. It is limited to all people, because people are human. So as I said, the preface is that we are human and we make mistakes. That's the first point that I want us to take away today. We're human and we make mistakes, but there is no excuse for making a mistake in the public eye and then completely evading accountability, right? And some people have done this and some people haven't done this, and there's some people who have taken accountability for some of the things they've done, and they have gone and they have worked on themselves, and then they've come back, right? And they have tried to redeem themselves, so to speak, but the trust is always being broken. And with that being said, the reason why I brought that up is because the second point I want to make is that I fully believe if you are not a person with narcissistic personality disorder or some other kind of mental disorder where you genuinely are unable to change the way you think and the way you do things, if you're a person who might have just fallen into a certain kind of behavior because of some tendencies, I fully believe that we can all be redeemed. We have all made mistakes, and we can all bring ourselves up to par, hopefully, in the standard that we are preaching as well. So that's the second thing being said as well. The final thing I wanted to make a point just on that part of this conversation is that there have been a lot of speakers who have pointed fingers at the speakers who have been exposed, and they've made demands on them, and they've said things to them like, you know, you are forbidden to do this, and we demand that you don't do this, or etc., etc. You can put whatever word it is to it, or this will happen. And I just also want to say that I want us as the viewers, and I'm going to get to that part as well, I want us as the viewers to view every situation from a place of consciousness, right? From a place of thinking for ourselves. So when a well-known speaker calls out another speaker, I want us to kind of observe the behaviors of everyone, right? Because what we tend to do sometimes is that we hear about something, and a lot of the times the things that we hear about something from someone is the person who is also not really trustworthy. And this has happened in so many situations where the messenger who is giving that piece of information from a platform is also doing a whole bunch of things that literally point one finger forward, and every other finger is pointing right back at them, right? If people only knew what was going on behind the scenes. So I really want us to come from a place of consciousness and thinking about how we approach a situation and how we think about a situation as well. And that takes me on to the final point, the point of this whole video is in how do we, the people who are being affected by these influencers who are continuously being exposed, how do we deal with it, right? That is such a difficult thing to really think about, because there's so many loud voices, there are so many opinions, there are so many opinion bullies, people who want to kind of push their opinion on you and tell you to think a certain way because of their own disrupted and disturbed and vengeance feelings, right? A lot of it is from vengeance. They genuinely didn't like this person in the first place, and then the person falls and they literally just like optimize on that and then destroy their reputation, which is also a dangerous thing. I'm not talking about people who have blatantly done things which have hurt other people, Harvey Weinstein, that kind of thing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about people who have made mistakes, and then there's people just kind of jumping on them and making their whole platform about calling them out, or making some days of their platform of calling them out and all that stuff. But the point, like I said, is to bring it back in and ask ourselves, what should we do in this situation when there is an influx and there is an expose happening to so many speakers, so many influencers, that honestly a lot of the people who listen to these influencers can feel extremely, extremely heartbroken because they attached so much of their growth to these influencers. So for example, a lot of you might have learned your religion from someone. You might have not even known about Islam, but then you begin to learn about Islam, and then you begin to find out about this person, and this person is extremely influential. They know a lot of information, they're very well learned, and you learn their religion through them, and then you find out something about them, and it can be heartbreaking. It can honestly feel like a part of you has been ripped away from you. And I'm not even dramatizing, like this is the feeling it can feel like. And a part of you is almost numb because this part of you, this religion, this faith, this enlightenment was attached to the person who has been exposed. There have been people who have left the religion of Islam. There's people who have gone even further in ending themselves or wanting to end themselves because of a guru that they learn underneath. And this isn't just Muslim, like I said, this is other people as well. And I don't want to get too much into names again. Some people have been completely disturbed, and they have done unthinkable things to themselves and to other people as well, because they are so heartbroken that this person has done this one thing, right? So the most important thing, again, back to the point, is that we when it comes to our lives and when it comes to our purpose, we must not attach it to a person who is still alive, right? A person who is still alive. And I wrote about this a little bit in my book because it is important to have role models. In fact, it is essential to have role models, to see people who have exemplified the way that we want to be. It is so important. But what is so dangerous is when these role models become people who we put in the place of the creator himself. There was this movie that I watched recently. It was a movie about a certain time in a certain country. There were these people who were seen as gods, and they abused their power, and they would use the devotees, and they would do, awful things and say it was all in the name of their religion, right? And people really followed it, but then they lost trust in it, and they were heartbroken. And it was honestly shocking the extent that they would go to, because people gave them that role of being God, and through them that they reached God. And that was such a dangerous thing to do. So first and foremost, no person should ever be an intercessor to your relationship with the creator. They can help you, they can guide you, they can advise you, but they will never be the person who will fulfill you completely. Absolutely not. No one who is alive will ever do that. The greatest example that we have, or the people of the pious predecessors, is the examples of our prophets, peace be upon them, our final messenger, peace be upon him, and his followers. And those are the people who are passed away, people who exemplified, and people we can really learn from as well. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my book which talks about this very thing, about role models, and this is from, I believe it is the chapter on spiritual training, and it talks about, I will have role models whom I can learn from. So here we go. Bismillah. In the name of God. The greatest role model is our final messenger, peace be upon him, and his life was an example to us. His mercy, his hardship, and his balance, and his way. In the spaces of greatness, I wrote these spaces of greatness sprinkled throughout the book. There are some amazing role models who can inspire us to do good. I chose these women because they were the best of our nation, better than any modern day celebrity. In our Muslim community, there have been instances where an influential teacher has said or done something wrong. And thousands of people who have attached their faith to him or to her had ended up losing motivation, or worse, their own faith. Islam, and this is the point, Islam is not attached to a person. It is the truth. And the truth will always be on the side of objective truth, which is the truth of our creator, Allah. And we humans, we make mistakes. Ibn Mas'ud, who was a companion of our Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, whoever wants to follow a path, let him follow the path of the one who has died. For the living are not safe from trials. I mean the companions of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. They were the best of the nation, the purest in heart, the deepest in knowledge, and the most straightforward. Allah chose them to accompany his Prophet and establish his religion, so recognize their status and follow their footsteps, and adhere as much as you can to their example of conduct and attitude, for they followed true guidance. It is easy to fall into deep admiration for people who use their platforms for good, and may Allah bless them in this. But remember the pillar of wisdom, forbearance, which means to love in moderation and to hate in moderation. Because one day, the one you love might be the one you hate, and the one you hate might become the one that you love. So I really hope that this video will serve as hopefully a solace, as many of my other videos have. If you are someone who has been following someone for a really long time, and for even a short amount of time, however long, I hope that you can attach your growth and your religion and yourself to something greater than any human being can ever offer you, and attach it to the Creator himself. I do have a free downloadable for you from the chapter of my book, The Woke Writer. And this is the chapter on letting go. It is all about surrender, and it is something which is free. And I also have a course on this same book, all 14 lessons of it on every chapter of this book, and it is also for free. It is not just for people who want to write, it is also for people who want to create anything, and the whole book is all about inspiration and how to use it to create your masterpiece and your legacy and whatever that is. Have a beautiful and blessed day, everyone. Peace.